Hey, it's Gavin Walsh here from walshthefataway.com, and today I have a very special guest. She is a metabolic training expert. Her work has been featured in ABC, Men's Fitness, Shape and Oxygen. So she knows her stuff, and her name is Kate Vidulich. So nice to have you on this hangout, Kate.
Thank you so much, Gavin. Yeah, thank you so much. And you said my name perfectly. I'm so impressed.
Good. I actually checked a few videos just to double check beforehand. Like,
good job. Most people don't do that. Sorry. You are already 50,000 steps ahead.
Good stuff. Well, as I said, great to have you on the call. And you are a metabolic training expert. So I wanted to get some workout wisdom from you for my followers and see if we can help them out a little bit more.
Sure. Well, this sounds really cool. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to chat with you guys.
Lovely. And just so you know, the guys that are watching this and the girls, Kate has just moved from LA to San Francisco. She's way over the other side, but as you can tell from her accent, she's an Aussie. And so that means we should be able to understand each other, because many of the Americans and Canadians I speak to haven't got a clue when I say crikey or cracking or anything like that. So,
well, crikey's Australian, I think. You guys might have stolen that one, but I like to throw in, a little bit of bloody hell here and there, and the English words. But I can definitely, I lived in New York for 6 years, and some people now say that some words I say sound almost like I have a New York accent. So I think that is just way beyond that's my Australian friends, of course. Yeah. But I'm originally from Australia. So I've got a pretty down to earth view towards exercise and fitness, and none of this fluffy garbalooba that you may see on infomercials. So I'm excited to chat with you guys.
That's good. That's it. We're keeping it real, no fluff.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things I wanted to speak to you about is the diet versus exercise. There's a lot of talk about diet and where we can train a bad diet. Where do you stand on that? What's your take on it?
Sure. Well, I think there's obviously a lot of people out there who say you can't out-train a bad diet. It really depends on what you would consider a bad diet, though. So the reason in a couple of my articles I've spoken about how you can possibly out-train a bad diet is when I was at university in Australia, I studied under Stephen Boucher, and he actually ran one of the first scientific studies on interval training that made a significant impact, and is really where it all started, the high intensity interval training. So in that research that I was involved in, I think it was a group of 45 women, but the women, college students or under 45. And even though obviously the high intensity training was more effective than the regular cardio, 45 minutes of steady state exercise, one of the really interesting findings that a lot of people don't report in any of their articles is that these women lost fat off specific parts of their body. They obviously weren't testing that on their legs in particular, because they were doing a lot of intense cycling, but they also don't know that they didn't change their diet at all. And their diet, when they first reported it, was crap. I mean, if you're at college and you're a university student, you're not eating like healthy paleo style that's very expensive in America to eat. You're eating pasta, you're eating donuts. And one of the subjects she even said, I was eating donuts, but doing these intense workouts 3 times a week. And this is the other thing, the intensity of the training wasn't the type of intensity of training that you would do at a regular spin class these days, where you go for 45 minutes and you're doing your hill or whatever. This was intense. It's very hard to replicate that high intensity of exercise. And I think that's why people say, I can't out-train a bad diet. That's because they're not really exercising when they go to train. If you were doing the type of intense exercise that these women were doing 3 times a week consistently for 12 weeks, it's like 3 months, then you would maybe think differently about it. But it's a very individual kind of case. And I've run marathons in the past where, I was just eating whatever the hell I wanted, and I was I was training really hard, but at the same time eating whatever I wanted to fuel my body to train harder allowed me to, I would say, out-train a bad diet, because eating bagels every day and cake and sugar and ice cream, that's probably not considered a good diet, right? But it's one of energy and fuel that people use to help you get better fat burning results.
Yeah, and I have to put my hand up actually, because when I was at university, I did a lot of sports, playing basketball, I was in the gym. My diet was pants, absolute pants. I was out pretty much most nights on the beers and stuff, and no, I wasn't ripped or anything like that, but I certainly didn't put on weight. And I guess if I'd have taken the exercise out of the equation and carried on, beers and whatnot, then I would certainly have put on weight. So I can see definitely what you're saying there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of sporting teams as well. I mean, I know the culture in Australia is you go and join a sporting team, you guys play hard, and then you party hard. So you have that combination there that you may not necessarily have a perfect diet, but I think if you train with the right intensity, which is hard, it's not like Sunday afternoon bike ride with grandma, like it's uphill. Grandma's house is at the top of a hill and you're sprinting up it like 5-6 times a day, So it's really about knowing like, hey, I'm pushing myself to that next level, and having some kind of competitive or some goal that isn't weight related to help you to get to that intensity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And what is it about the high intensity stuff, going hell for leather? And I guess when we say that hell for leather, as you said, it's very individual sort of based. Somebody's fitness level is going to be different. So what is it about the high intensity that makes it, that balances things? How would you explain that?
A lot of it is the disruption that the exercise has on your body. So I don't want to get too sciencey because people don't get it, but it's a lot of the fact that you're bringing your whole body is under stress and shock. So you're having this whole hormonal sequence set off that really forces your body to use up the carbs that you have, but then because you have that increased level of work that you're undergoing, you then have your body has to work harder to get back to baseline. And that's pretty much what the afterburn effect is that the higher intensity that you work out, the higher elevation that you're burning more calories and your heart rate stays elevated for they say up to 38 hours. I mean, even if it just stays up for 24 hours, that's still a lot of time that your body is still under some kind of disruption if you have brought enough intensity into the workout. And that's one of the problems with high intensity training, is that people just don't increase their heart rate high enough so that they then don't feel that they need to take a rest for as long. And it really kind of evens itself out to become like a steady state workout almost, with just kind of tiny little ups and downs, when really we should be having big spikes of, you're sprinting all out for 10 seconds. It sounds like nothing, but if you really sprint for 10 seconds as if there's a bear chasing you, or in England, like another guy with a bottle chasing you, like that's intense. Like you're going all in, and you're going to need at least a minute to recover from that in order to be able to sprint again at that same high intensity. So by adding in these high intensity workouts, it just elevates all of your body's systems to have to burn more calories just to get back down to that normal level for like 30 up to 38 hours. So by having those major spikes in your workout and having that higher intensity, it really does help, or it forces your body to use more oxygen in order to then get back down to that baseline. So, and I think as well, people who do even longer, slower steady state workouts, that can work in the beginning, but your body will eventually adapt to it. And that's why having those fast, all out kind of sprints is the way to go, because you're always going to get faster even if you don't realize it.
And I think that's one of the common mistakes you've just mentioned there is one, not actually pushing themselves hard enough, and to elicit those changes in the body to make sure that the hormonal output is changed and that your body needs that recovery period. You look at spin classes, and I used to teach spin when I was first started as a personal trainer. I used to jump off the bike and walk around and turn up the dial on the bikes, and the amount of people, it's like you turn it, it's like, hang on, you haven't got anything on here. It's like, you are definitely not working hard enough.
I know, it doesn't really make sense to me. It's like if I'm going to a spin class, it's like, all right, I want to go, but I think the other problem is that because it's so long, like you don't need to do more than 20 minutes of high intensity interval training. The studies that I've been involved in, 20 minutes was so much. Like you didn't need to do any more. Like that was it. And of course, the Tabata study, that's like 4 minutes. If you want to do more than that, you're freaking crazy. Like it's so hard. So it really is about keeping it shorter, but keeping it more intense. And that's a huge thing that people can't get past, particularly people who've all their life been told, like, go running for 30 to 45 minutes. Shortening your workout to 10, 15, even just shortening to 20 minutes, people can't believe it. And it's hard to change that mindset.
And then, a lot of people watching this will like the idea, they even love the idea, because shorter workout means they've got more time at home with the family, the kids, with so many things going on around, with work, social engagements, that a shorter workout is ideal. But what are some of the other mistakes that people make, men and women? What sort of mistakes do you think they make with their workouts?
Oh, definitely choosing the wrong exercises. Like just choosing exercises that either back to back using the same muscle group. Because like in a metabolic workout, what you want to do is not kill any one particular muscle group at once. Okay, so you want to be almost like shunting the blood from one muscle group to another muscle group, or using like a total body exercise that's all in one, whooshing the blood around your body. So you're creating more of that metabolic disturbance, you're burning more calories, and then you're having to utilize your fat stores later on after your workout. So you're burning a lot of carbs. But most people choose the wrong exercises. Like they're either doing an isolated exercise like bicep curls or some tricep exercise that really is not going to burn many calories at all. Or they're putting two exercises back to back that totally, it doesn't make any sense. Like for example, if you did a leg exercise, like you did a squat, and then you went straight into doing some other like lunge without taking a rest between those two exercises for a certain period of time, okay? So what you'd want to do instead is like a squat and then a push-up and then another lower body exercise, then say a row, okay? So that way you're flushing the blood around the body, but you're not just killing one muscle group all at once. Because to go for 45 seconds to a minute of one particular exercise or workout, in the workout, you're going to be dead. Like you're just not even going to be able to perform in that next set. And that's a huge mistake I see. Is like a class I went to in LA. They would do like a rowing sprint, and then they would try and get you to do like a mountain climber sprint, and then they get you to do a running sprint. And you had like 10 seconds rest between each 45, 50-second interval. You couldn't go hard for all of them. I mean, you just totally tank. And that's the wrong goal, I think, in exercises. You're not meant to die in every workout. Yeah, it's meant to be hard, but you're not meant to be failing. Like it's not a smart setup of the workout. So I think definitely choosing the wrong exercises. I think people take too long rests if they don't, like not using a timer. I mean, it's very easy. Just go get a timer. You can't cheat when you have a timing device that like beeps to say, yeah, you can go, you can stop. So I think by having like something like that time your workout or your exercises, that definitely helps. And I think just not having a plan. Some people just don't even have a plan. They just find random workouts on the internet and are like, okay, I'll go work out today. You need to have a progressive plan that is tailored to your goals and what your problems or what your imbalances are, and so you can get the best results. So there are a couple of the big mistakes.
Yeah, and so I especially see that when I ever go into a gym and I see people go in there, no plan whatsoever. They don't know what they're doing. So most of them just hop on a treadmill, as I call them, and just spin the wheels for 30, 40 minutes. But some people go on and use some of the equipment, but in between their rests, they're just sitting there staring into the void. And then 2-3 minutes go by. I'm like, oh, yeah, I best do the next step now. So one thing I do is definitely I time my rest periods, and depending on what I'm doing as well. But even with clients, when I'm training my one-to-one clients, because some of them like to talk, so I actually put the timer on my watch just to make sure. Right, okay, we've had enough chat now. Let's do this next bit.
Absolutely. I mean, here in America, people like to just watch TV between sets. So, they're either on the treadmill doing their thing, watching television, or same deal, take a rest between sets, go and watch some television, come back again. So it's something you need to keep an eye on, particularly if you want to keep making some kind of progress in the programs.
Cool. Like that. Now, obviously people that are watching this will be at different fitness levels. So I wanted to kind of go across the board here. So if we had a beginner and they wanted to get into some metabolic training, they like the idea of this and the shorter workouts, where would you start the beginner? What would you do with them?
Okay, so this is the biggest mistake that all beginners make, is that they try to do either complicated exercises that they can't yet do, or they try to do too much all at once without taking enough rest breaks. So for a beginner, the best thing to do is, if you're going to do a metabolic training workout, make sure that all the exercises that are in the program, you can do them really proficiently. So you can do, you know, a good number of body weight squats. You can do a good number of push-ups of whatever level it is, okay? So you want to choose exercises that you can do for at least the time period, 30, 45 seconds, okay? So again, starting with body weight exercises. I always, I mean, even for more advanced people, I think body weight exercises are better in metabolic workouts because you have less risk of getting injured. That's one of the greatest problems with some of the most popular workouts that start with cross and rhyme with fit. It's like they use really heavy weights and do very highly technical exercises when you're fatigued and for metabolic conditioning, when really they're skill exercises that you should do and then take a rest and then do another set. Okay, save your metabolic stuff for the end of the workout and keep it body weight oriented, because it's still like when you're tired and fatigued, you're at a higher risk of injury, particularly anything that to do with your shoulders, because they obviously can move. I think for most people, like unless you're a gymnast, like your hips, your shoulders are more mobile than your hips. So the best thing for beginners is to make sure that you are doing exercises that you can proficiently do for the amount of time specified. And one of the biggest mistakes is people try to do full push-ups when they should just regress it. Like, just know the regressions. Even say for chin-ups, like it's hard to do chin-ups for 45 seconds if you're a beginner. Well, I think even if you're advanced. So knowing, hey, I can do an inverted row, and then knowing the different variations that you can do to regress the exercise so that you can get the full metabolic conditioning effect of the workout. Otherwise, if you stop after 20 seconds, you're really missing out on 45 seconds of time that you should be still moving and exercising. But picking total body exercises that are body weight only, and then tinkering with the rest time break ratios, okay? So, you know, you don't want to be totally doing a ratio of, say, like 3 to 1. So you wouldn't want to do, say, 45 seconds work, 15 seconds rest. You want to drop it down to like 1 to 1 to start with, like 30-30, 20-20, just something that's more or equal rest than work, so that you have that time to recover. And if you're doing it with the right intensity and you're getting up your speed, then you should feel out of breath and really use that time that you have to rest. So that's the best advice for beginners, is to make sure you get enough rest.
That totally makes sense. So bodyweight exercises, make sure you're proficient at them, and also think about your rest as well. And now going from there, once they become a little bit more advanced, you know, I love the bodyweight exercises, and even for some advanced people, the bodyweight exercises can kill people, especially towards the end of the workout. But would you throw in any equipment? You know, and if so, what type of equipment would you use? What do you usually chuck in there to finish?
I like adding in, like, if you have like a TRX, I know not a lot of people have suspension trainers, but that's something fun to increase the intensity of any workout. But I think also sliders. Do you guys have sliders in the UK? Those sliding guys?
I know what they are, but yeah, not many people have them. Yeah.
Okay, so you could get like that, or you could use a towel, like putting a towel on your feet.
Wooden floor and a towel, yeah.
Oh, if you have wooden floorboards and you just use a towel and you put one on each feet, like, you're not going to get in trouble for wrecking the floorboards. But the intensity of that exercise, doing mountain climbers on floorboards, on towels and floorboards, is so intense and it's so highly effective. So throwing in that, you can add in some dumbbell exercises, but again, it's more about conditioning. So just making sure that you're not doing any exercises with bad form. But I think as well, when you get to the more intermediate advanced level, that's where you can add in those AMRAP workouts where you're doing as many rounds as you possibly can.
Yep.
That as a beginner, you're going to really struggle to do, just because you need that time to rest and break in between the sets, and also to get the hang of the working out. So that's the only difference, I think, once you get up to that higher level is, you know, increasing the work, decreasing the rest time. Again, changing up the exercise, adding in some equipment. Kettlebell swings, fantastic move for people that know how to do it correctly. So it's still the same kind of structure, just making the exercises more progressed.
Yeah. And while we're on kettlebell swings there, one of my bugbears is people that squat when they do a kettlebell swing. So if you're watching this, it's not a squat, the kettlebell swing. It's from the hips, hinge. Okay. Yeah,
hinging. And then the people here like to throw it over their head. And I'm just like, I'm always arguing with people about this. The American kettlebell swing, it's the Russian kettlebell swing. That's where it kind of came from, folks. And it goes up to your shoulder height. So that's definitely one of my pet peeves for sure.
Totally. And let's talk about some of the principles of metabolic training. We've already touched on a couple of them. Now, I read on one of your blog posts a while back, and I think you had something like 4 or 5 principles of metabolic training. So I just want you to quickly run through them for us.
Sure. So the first one is having a total body exercise or total body workout. Okay. So you're using multiple muscle groups at once, and it can be more upper body or more lower body, but you're not just using isolated muscle groups. So that's the first one there. And the next one is like keeping your rest break short or very minimal. So you are making sure that you're not getting full recovery between. So that obviously is more for intermediate advanced people. Beginners, you want to get more of a rest between the sets. But in terms of the metabolic training, you're getting incomplete rest. And that's why the selection of the exercises is super important, to make sure that you're not doubling up and hitting the same muscle group exercise after exercise, because it'll kill the whole effect, right? So the third one is, did I say non-competing exercise groups just then?
Maybe.
Yeah. I think I just put 2 in 1.
So
yeah, so you've got the non-competing.
Well, right?
Yeah, you've got the non-competing though. So I already touched on that. That's why I just got thrown off. So we've got when you've got the rest breaks or the short rest breaks, you also want to have non-competing exercises. So by that, like I was just mentioning before, you're not going to do a squat and then another kind of lower body exercise. You want to do an upper body, lower body, maybe add in a more total body conditioning exercise, like, some burpees just for good times, because everyone totally loves that. But they're the main three principles of the metabolic training. Sure. Or was there something else that I missed?
No. I think we sort of touched on it earlier on as well. Since we're going back to the study, we're talking about how they lost more fat, and some people might view a longer workout because they burn more calories. Now with a shorter workout, and if they've been paying attention, they'll realize that there'll be a calorie burn afterwards. So it's not necessarily, some people have the polar heart rate watches and all that sort of stuff, and they'll be counting the calories on that. But the thing that those watches don't tell you is what happens after the workout, how many calories you burn after the workout, and what happens to the hormones and all that stuff. So I think that's an important point to touch on.
Huge. Yeah, well, that's huge. And I think, we kind of talked about that before. That's why I didn't want to repeat myself. But the afterburn effect is definitely something that is a benefit of doing this type of training. But you need to have those 3 principles in place in order to get continued results. Because, you could do any type of training. It doesn't matter what you did. If you're doing nothing and you do some training, you're going to get results. There's no doubt about it. But your body is going to adapt. And with this type of metabolic training, if you've got it set up and structured the correct way, your body doesn't adapt to it. It does adapt to some degree, but it doesn't cause you to plateau, because you do need some adaptation in order to get more progress. But if you're just doing random gobbly-gob workouts all over the joint, you're not going to get that progression. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I've got one more question for you, and it's kind of how to sort of set up your metabolic training workouts. And what sort of style of workouts do you have? Is it circuit based? We mentioned the AMRAP stuff as well. What's your favorite? What do you tend to do?
Oh, I like to do a combination of different types. So I think I like to obviously just do traditional strength, total body strength workouts, or an upper lower body split, depending what I'm training for or towards. But I like, in terms of a metabolic workout, I like to have a mix of just a time set. So a 45-second, 50-second work period, followed by a 15-second rest, and then do that for 20 minutes. That's, of course, just the metabolic training. That doesn't include the warm-up of 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning, which, again, most trainers forget. You'll be surprised in America, Gavin. Jeez. But I also like to do an AMRAP, a 15-20-minute AMRAP once a week. That it just really, I was thinking about it the other day, it really just flushes the cobwebs out. You know what I mean? It's a whole different effect on your body that you can't necessarily get from just by doing 45 seconds, 50 seconds work, rest, your body adapts to that kind of training. But if you're doing an AMRAP and you're doing a sprint of some sort, as doing as many rounds as you can, and again, set up the workout correctly, and you can easily cycle through and keep your intensity high the whole time. But my number 3 is either doing some kind of hill sprints or some kind of outdoor sprint training, and even going to a gym and doing some kind of rolling intervals of, 500 meters on and then rest, and do that a couple of times. Just short, fast, challenging workouts where the environment's kind of changing. So you can go out and, time yourself and try and do a faster time. Yeah. But there's plenty of hills here in San Francisco to do hill sprints. It's
definitely, yeah.
Just taking a walk is like a hill sprint sometimes. 29% grade. That's the hill I live on, is 29% grade. I'm like, hey, the treadmill doesn't even do this.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm not sort of watching you at an angle, actually,
Yeah. Just wait. There'll be an earthquake in a second. No, cool. Kidding.
Well, we're going to wrap things up here. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on this Hangout, Kate. And just a little plug for your website as well. It's fatlossaccelerators.com. And before we go, is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, sure. It's been really great. Thank you so much for having me on. But yeah, if you want any more info, come on over to fatlossaccelerators.com. You can see all my programs on there, but a lot of them are based around this metabolic type of training that it's very different to what a lot of other people are doing out there, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun. And I think that's really what it's all about, is challenging yourself, but also having a lot of fun in your workouts, no matter what level you're at right now. Because if you just stick with it and keep practicing it, it becomes part of your life without having to dread, doing your workout or cheating in spin class. So
for sure. Right. So once again, thank you. And those of you that are watching, thanks for watching. Always a pleasure to have you on these Hangouts with me. And we will see you next time. Take care for now.